TRS Clips, that one channel where you get to explore the unexplored realms of knowledge.
There's a crazy 1971 document out of the Australian Intelligence Service which details all of these, it names names because it wasn't intended to be seen, of American universities and American physicists who were supposedly working on anti-gravity programs based on the idea that UFOs had been recovered and were real.
As in, they'd extracted information from the parts of the UFOs they'd
The
found.
way the document puts it, it says there's no reason to suddenly put all this energy and some of our best people on an anti-gravity program, or what was known as a gravity shielding program, if there wasn't some indication that there was something to do there, because general relativity, which is our theory of gravity, doesn't support thinking in these terms. It's not beckoning us to put this kind of manpower. So the Australians figured out for the Americans to be putting this amount of energy into what was technically called the golden age of general relativity must mean that this is really a UFO program.
I'd also love for you to very quickly introduce yourself and what you've studied.
Okay. So I'm a mathematician. I was a postdoc at MIT, PhD from Harvard, and I specialized in the geometry that is underneath both general relativity and the model of quantum field theory that we call the Standard Model. So those are two basic models that give us an understanding of the world. And I studied the geometry, which was the language in which these two theories were formulated.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
There is no explanation as if you're 5. You're a wave. You're a wave in a medium. And if you think about how different waves sound different, depending on, let's say, what instrument you have a wave on a string. So if it's a violin versus a sarangi, the bridge causes the string to vibrate in a way that imparts a different sound. So under all circumstances, everything that you see in this room is not actually a solid object. It's actually a wave, and the geometry of those waves determines what reality is. Okay, so we're in India. We should talk about the tabla set with the tabla and the bayan. And when you move the heel of your hand on the bayan, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, you change the sorts of waves that can exist on the drum head. And so those different kinds of waves under all circumstances determine the particles that we sort of see, and why, we have different characters of the waves in my ice in the cup. So getting the geometry of these waves right unleashes power. Or if you think about the electromagnetic spectrum, how is it that we can receive a picture of our cousin in Singapore on our phone? It's the electromagnetic vibrations, in the same way that we can hear each other through a different medium, which is the vibration of sound that reaches our ears. So understanding different media, different geometries, different vibrational patterns is the stuff of physics. And whoever can do that the best gets to unlock the powers of the universe. So it's sort of a race to understand how waves behave in media to see who wins.
Okay, I'm trying to oversimplify everything you're saying. That's where my muscle's working.
So let's put it this way. Do you want to visit the stars?
Yes.
Okay. How are you going to get out of here? No one knows.
Like a wormhole.
Okay. Well, exactly. That's really good. So for example, if you imagine that the hole in my handle for this cup presents a wormhole connecting the top here to the bottom, and a way to go from the bottom of the cup to the top, how do you do that in space-time so that you can choose a destination from your telescope and go there? We don't know that that's possible. But if that is possible, you'd get there through geometry and physics.
Okay. Let me get this straight. And I'll link it to aliens, which is the theme of this conversation.
All right.
So the stuff you've studied contains the theory behind sci-fi concepts like wormholes,
Exactly.
time travel,
Exactly.
these kind of things.
That's it.
You've studied the theory of these.
I'm trying to do the grown-up version, which is less fun, but if it ever works, hugely more important than the Star Trek, Star Wars version.
A lot of these ideas are currently not practical because of scientific and engineering limitation. But
Scientific is far more disturbing because you can engineer the hell out of a problem, but if science says you can't go faster than the speed of light and the nearest star is 4 light years away, you're practically not going to get there ever. So I've said, imagine that the universe is set up so that the solar system is an escape room, and we're all going to die unless somebody can figure out how to get out of here before the bombs go off. So no one knows how to get out of it. And what's worse, Albert Einstein is sort of our jailer. He's running the prison, and we can't leave until we figure out how to defeat and trick the jailer. So that was what I was trying to do. I'm trying to jailbreak the universe so we don't die here and we get to visit the stars.
okay. The next question's a little elaborate and it's related to aliens.
Perfect.
Hypothetically, if they're even like 500 years older than us,
Yeah.
it's likely that they're scientifically much more advanced than us. And if aliens do exist and they visit the Earth, then that means that they have cracked this wormhole problem that you have understood the theory of because of what you've studied.
Okay.
Am I right in saying this?
I'm going to look, just to take issue and play some tennis back and forth.
Sure.
What if the idea is that we have to play tic-tac-toe, and one person is 500 years of tic-tac-toe theory ahead of the other one? It doesn't matter. Once you can play perfect tic-tac-toe, it doesn't matter how many hundreds of years somebody is in front of you. I think we're almost at the end of physics. We've almost cracked the code.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that this is much more like tic-tac-toe than it is like chess.
So you think human beings have almost reached the end of physics?
Correct.
Wow.
And people always make fun of that because people have always thought they were at the end, right? But at some point, the last landmass was found. So it was found off the north coast of Siberia about 100 years ago. Nobody's ever found a major landmass on Earth after that. Now, you could always say, oh, you think you found the last landmass on Earth. No, we really did. It came to an end. Or checkers was solved as a puzzle. You can get a computer to play perfect checkers. I think we're at the end of the rules of physical chess.
So what's not discovered yet, or what's not understood?
Well, for example, there's two things that we all sort of agree are out there called dark energy and dark matter. And we can detect, for example, that there are things that are sort of planet-like that don't give off any light. But we can see that the objects behind them are sending light around them, and the light is distorted everywhere, even though we don't see the object in the center. So this really freaked us out.
Okay. And these are out there in outer space.
Yeah, like, for example, imagine I started to see, they're in outer space. Imagine I started to see 13 different copies of Ranveer. That would be weird, because why should I get 13 copies of you? Well, it's a lot like being in a hall of mirrors where something is taking the light from you and spreading it and taking the same object and allowing the light to come to me in different ways.
What did you say? Dark matter and?
Dark energy.
Dark energy. So these are two topics we've not understood in physics yet.
Yeah.
And how big are these things that you said are like planets?
Well, they're huge.
They're the size of planets?
Oh my gosh, they're the size of galaxies. They're absolutely enormous clumps of matter.
We don't know what they are.
Right, because they don't have we can't see them. They're dark. They don't scatter light.
Why is it important that we understand what they are?
Because they make up most of our universe.
Oh.
Like, we don't know whether there are beings that are made out of dark matter. Like, if there were a dark matter being in this room, yeah, I'm not doing a good job of telling you just how crazy this is. Right now, it's night here in Bombay, in Mumbai. Yeah. And the sun is on the other side of the planet. And it's sending a kind of almost dark matter called neutrinos screaming through planet Earth and penetrating your body. You're being shot through with billions of neutrinos all the time. And the only reason, Ranveer, that you don't die is that the planet that's failing to shield you has the same characteristics as your body. So it's not only passing through the planet, which should have shielded you, but it's passing through your body and doing almost no damage. Once in a blue moon, one of these neutrinos interacts with your DNA and mutates you. But that's a kind of almost dark matter, nearly dark matter, that we understand pretty well now. Not perfectly. It's still kind of mysterious. But we only found it out like less than 100 years ago.
How did we find it out?
It's very interesting because if you have radioactive decay, you have like a neutron, and a neutron disintegrates at some point. It'll just sit there, and then suddenly it'll spontaneously turn into a proton and shoot out an electron. And there wasn't enough energy in the proton together with the electron to represent the energy that was in the neutron. So, okay, things have to add up. It's sort of like discovering that somebody is stealing money from you in your business. There was a kind of money going in, and then there was money going out, and there wasn't enough money going out to match the money coming in, so somebody was skimming off the top. And that turned out to be the neutrino, technically the anti-electron neutrino.
So a lot of mathematical equations that were explaining reality to us were indicating that a neutrino or this dark matter.
Something was carrying away energy and not telling us it was there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? So it's like finding out that you've got a thief.
Gotcha. And nobody knows the exact nature of what this is. Dark matter.
Well, we sort of know more and more, but we don't know enough. So imagine you're trying to discover the criminal organization, but you can't see it directly. So you discover it by its effects on the visible world. How does it distort the visible world? So there has to be, if you have a chore in your organization, you figure it out because you can't account for some number of receipts, invoices that don't match invoices out.
I have to take you back to the occult a little bit.
Please.
You said that maybe beings could be made of the same material, like living beings.
Yeah.
Over to you. What do you mean?
Well, could these things form atoms? Not our kinds of atoms, because our kinds of atoms scatter light, so you can see them. Right? The only reason you and I can see each other is that you and I stop and reflect photons when they hit us. So maybe there are dark photons. There's like dark light that falls on dark matter. Maybe there are dark planets. You have no idea what this stuff could be.
So within our universe, these objects and this material is hiding secrets in plain sight.
And there's more of it than there is of our stuff. Like if you and I are made of luminous matter, there's more of the dark matter than there is the luminous matter. So we're the minority. The dark stuff is the majority.
Do you think alien life would have figured out what the dark stuff is?
I think we're about to figure out what the dark stuff is.
When do you think we'll figure it out?
Anytime.
Anytime now?
Look, man, I think that what is about to happen in general is so profound that none of us are ready for it. I think that we have led our lives in a very calm, very still, stagnant way, and we've confused the little ripples in the lake of our time, the fluctuations in the economy, the minor border conflicts, all these sorts of things. We've called them wars. We've called these, depressions. No. The world is going to get wildly chaotic, and it's about to happen.
Why?
Well, you can look at it. First of all, the AI is certainly it's the most profound thing that may have ever been invented. Not the version that we have, but what's coming. The post-World War II era had an order largely enforced by the United States, and the United States wants to get out of the world policeman business under Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is probably the most consequential president of my lifetime.
Really?
Yeah. We have got multiple thermonuclear countries with very advanced scientific and engineering programs. So multipolar conflict is very different than two-player games like the Soviet Union versus the US. Yeah. Think about the early 20th century with the level of craziness and its scientific advance and war and conflict and disease and opportunity. Now put that on steroids with modern toys. That's what's coming.
Is any good coming as well?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Scientific discovery.
Oh my God.
Thank you for consuming this clip, दोस्तों. अगर ऐसे ही और clips explore करने हैं तो इस channel के playlists को ज़रूर explore करना.